Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. I'm aware that I haven't been doing many teardowns recently and that's not good. So I've picked this up from a car boot sale. It's a ye oldie Pocket TV, and Pocket TVs don't work anymore. I remember seeing these though. These used to be in the Argos catalogue and I couldn't really afford one, to be honest, as a kid. What would you even need one for? Until, in university, I think I got hold of one second hand, for a Casio, 50 quid or something I paid for it, and yeah, it was alright. It didn't work very well. I lived in a house in the valleys of Wales, and it just picked up nothing, to be honest with you. You couldn't really get anything without a decent antenna, and yeah. So I eventually swapped it for a blue Game Boy, and that was a mint blue Game Boy, and I still have that somewhere. Maybe in my loft, and it's got a Game Boy printer and bootleg games, and it's actually got a Game Boy oscilloscope. So that was from a Lector magazine where you could make your Game Boy into an oscilloscope. So I picked this up from a car boot sale last weekend, and it was about £1. Bloody hell, it does weigh, it feels like really light when you get it first, but then once you put the batteries in, it's like boom. And I say these were in the Argos catalogue next to those Casio ones, so they would be much coveted. So there's a tiny little screen. I don't know what that would be, like 1.5 inch, 2 inch tops. Ah, analog sound. And that's pretty much all you're going to get, just to sort of show you. Where's the volume here? You've got volume and brightness. Brightness. There's actually a tiny little line that you may or may not be able to see. I can see there's a sort of moire pattern on there, but in fact you're never gonna be able to see it. But there's a tiny little faint line, and then when you push the tuning buttons, it used to just move across, a little line moving across to show you. In fact, I can just see it here. It's like a red line again. I'm not sure if you can. Just to show you where you were, and that was it. It's pretty lame, to be honest with you. But they kind of worked, and they've turned off all of the analog transmitters in the UK, so there's not really anything to show you. Until maybe I get something like an old Nintendo Entertainment System or something that puts out an RF signal, and we can have another look on that. But I'm a bit curious. Aren't we all a bit curious to see what's under the hood? Some of them actually can have a composite input, but not this. So that's a shame. I saw one screw there, and I only just see one screw here. I can't believe it's only being held together with 2 screws. So, okay, that was holding the antenna in. That's kind of cute, though, isn't it? It's made of ABS plastic. Nothing. So I'm going to use my mighty fingernail spludging devices. These ones. It's coming apart really easy, actually. That's cool. That is super cool. Super megadocious. Oh, I've lost my button. Okay. So that is obviously a reflector for this cold cathode. So there's a fluorescent light bulb in there, basically. And that's the reflector. And it appears to be grounded, so that's grounded, probably to stop, hum or something coming through, because you imagine that's running at a certain frequency. If you know fluorescent lights, they do that. So that's like a fluorescent tube like you might have in your kitchen. And underneath that is the TFT screen itself, and that's the high voltage driver, and you can see that because it says caution high voltage, so that's making however many volts that is. It says here 1 amp 250 volts, that thing. I think that's the fuse, to be honest, but there's 2 of them. I wouldn't mess with this, to be honest, when it's on. That could probably give you a little jolt. This is the brightness and volume control, so they're all here, this sort of analog display componentry, and there's obviously a chip just for messing with the screen. And this is the tuner, so it's quite simple. So we'll start on this side, really. That's your tuner circuitry. And where does your antenna go? Let's have a look. Your antenna's coming in here. You remember there's an external antenna coming through there. So that's the antenna circuitry. There's 2 pots though, VR153 and VR154. Not sure what they are. Actually, you have VR152 and 151. So these are variable resistors. In fact, all of them, that's what the VR. It's full of them, actually. That is weird. So it must have a lot of manual tinkering and calibration in this thing. That's going to be the RF sort of demodulator, I guess, circuitry in there, or tuner circuitry, effectively. Had 2 bands, UHF and VHF, but I think they're all going to be handled in the same way. and that'll be decoding a picture, which it will be putting out to here, which will then be moving across to this side, coming in, and that will be being decoded by that chip into something the LCD can produce. And it's really simple. And then this is the separate cold cathode, I guess we call them. Cold cathode. And that's being driven by this voltage and this analog circuitry here and a couple of tuners. And I think this is headphones out. Yes, it is, because there's your speaker and it's going to the same thing. So they're really quite simple devices. Quite marvellous, really. Quite marvellous. In terms of hackanology, one could look at how this works. This probably takes, I'm going to guess, a composite source. Oh yeah, don't forget we've got the tuning buttons here, which I think are being relayed to here. This probably takes a composite source. So this is probably decoding the TV signal and putting it into some sort of standard video format, which I think could be composite, and then it's being decoded by this into an LCD. So that's standard. So what you might be able to do is jack in here with some, your Raspberry Pi or whatever, and you'll still get a nice picture. And I think you could fit. I'm just looking around, like rapidly looking around with my human eyes for things that make potential composite output. So that's a Raspberry Pi. You're going to be hard pushed to get that in there. However, if you remove the battery bay entirely, just cut that out, Dremel it out, I think you'd probably get that in. So you could have quite a cool Raspberry Pi thing. Look at these interfaces. They almost look like they could just fit straight in, couldn't they? They won't. Don't do that. But it looks like they could. And that would be quite a bit of fun. So you could build a whole Raspberry Pi into that sort of citizen thing and make the buttons, when you push the buttons, to operate something on there. Maybe you could use it for your retro games and have a little retro controller. Now, if you don't want to do that with a Raspberry Pi big old size, look at that, Pi Zero. You could fit 4 of them in there. You could still run it off normal AA cells instead of the lithium cell that you would probably require for that. And that would work too. That would work a right treat. That would be a right treat, Mary Poppins. However, for me, I think I'm going to keep it as is right now. I think it deserves the respect. It deserves my respect to keep it pure. So the real challenge is, though, is just to get it all back together now in one go. So I'm going to put it on its side. It's just this heat shield. It's got, I say heat shield, reflector. It's just that little bit tricky, but it wasn't that tricky actually. Right. So you've got the button that needs to go in, and you've got the reflector, and they seem to be mutually exclusive in the orientation. So I'm just gonna tilt this way. Yeah. Look at that. That was good, wasn't it? That was pretty. It's pretty slick. I'm a pretty slick operator. I'm just gonna get that in there. Boosh, 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 boosh. Monge 2, Rodney. That's all I can say. Monge 2. And any of you watching from France, Al zut alors, mon ami. Je voudrais un pamplemousse juice à La Rochelle. And that's my welcome to anybody in France or Canada. There you go. That's the Citizen telly. Should we have it? Should we just fire it up one more time? One more time for luck, just to kind of see if it still works. Why not? It reminds me of the old Atari Lynxes and Game Gears and everything else, which had those shockingly crap. Hang on. There we go. Now it's together. It still works. So we actually got brightness here. Does that do anything? No, that's colour. Couleur. The colour is really hard to turn. It's like a weird... Do you need a screwdriver? I'm just looking. My kingdom for a flat blade screwdriver. It's like they don't exist anymore. I just want to see if it will turn. Yeah, it does turn. Yeah, I guess that would affect the colour if you had anything on the screen. Yeah. Those lovely sounds. As ever, guys, thank you for watching.